Welcome to the Deep Dive by 5W Media. Today we're plunging into a pretty spine-tingling exploration of Nevada's ghostly tales. You sent us a really fascinating collection of articles, first-hand accounts too, and it's clear you're captivated by, well, the spectral side of the Silver State.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to navigate these chilling legends, kind of unearth the most captivating and, yeah, eerie stories that make Nevada such a hotspot for paranormal activity.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how Nevada, a place you think of for Vegas glitz and maybe quick visits, also has this really deep undercurrent of reported hauntings. The state's history, it's marked by these huge booms and then devastating busts, especially in mining. And you think about the isolated, tough lives of early settlers, that whole untamed frontier vibe. It really seems like it's cultivated fertile ground for these ghost stories to last.
Okay, let's dig into that boom and bust thing you mentioned, because it really does seem to echo through some of these tales we found. So take Pyramid Lake, for instance, near Reno. There's this particularly unsettling legend, the water babies. These are supposedly the angry spirits of Paiute infants, either ill-formed or premature, tragically thrown into the lake. And the legend connects these spirits to fishermen disappearing each spring, their bodies often just gone, never recovered. It's properly haunting stuff.
It really is. And what's kind of interesting is where it might have come from. Our sources, one mentioned that staff at the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe Museum suggests the legend might actually have roots in a family vacation to the California coast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unexpected.
Yeah, it shows how folklore can, evolve and shift, pulling inspiration from weird places sometimes. But wherever it started, the legend's power is still there. Lots of accounts of people hearing, invisible baby cries or this really unsettling ghostly children's laughter near the water.
Then you have a place like Haunted Rob Canyon. This one feels darker somehow. Back in the early 70s, 4 brutally mutilated bodies were found there. Murders never solved. And now, the local legend claims that if you go into the canyon, you might hear screams, feel sooty, cold spots, see full-body apparitions, shadowy figures darting around. Even get this weird sense of disorientation, like you're lost. That unresolved violence really ramps up the creep factor, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Unsolved, brutal tragedies, they often leave behind this palpable sense of unease, right? It's not really surprising that such a horrific event would spark stories of, residual energy or maybe the tormented spirits of the victims just lingering where their lives ended so violently. And that lack of closure, it can really impact a community and feed these kinds of legends for years.
Okay, let's shift to some of Nevada's more maybe famously haunted spots.
Yeah.
Starting with the Goldfield Hotel.
Ah, yes, Goldfield.
Classic. This place is just steeped in legends, but the big one, the most known, is the story of Elizabeth. She was supposedly a prostitute who got pregnant by the owner, George Wingfield. And the story goes, it's grim, that Wingfield, worried about a scandal, chained her to a radiator. In room 109 specifically.
Room 109.
After she gave birth, legend says he threw the baby down an old mine shaft in the basement, and then either killed Elizabeth or just left her there to die. It's a really chilling story baked into the hotel's history.
It is. And what's striking about these hotel ghost stories, Goldfield's a perfect example, is how detailed and, dramatic they often are. The lore there doesn't just stop with Elizabeth's tragic end. People report hearing a baby crying, hearing Elizabeth's own sobs echoing around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and some even claim they've seen ghosts of little kids on the main lobby staircase. And there's supposedly another spirit, a more menacing one, that actually, stabs visitors.
Stabs them? Seriously?
Well, that's the legend. It suggests this layering of tragic events, almost like they've imprinted themselves onto the building, Makes you wonder if the transient nature of hotels, so many lives, crossing paths, joys, sorrows, maybe that contributes to this concentration of reported phenomena.
Like the walls absorbed it all. Okay, speaking of tragic ends and big structures, there's that really well-known legend about the Hoover Dam.
The workers in the concrete.
Exactly, that 7 workers are buried inside the concrete when it was built. It's a powerful, dark image.
It is.
But our sources actually debunk this one pretty clearly. They say that while, tragically, a lot of workers did die 96, officially during construction.
Which is a huge number.
A terrible number, yeah.
Yeah.
But none were actually entombed in the concrete because there were always other workers around observing everything closely.
Right.
So it's a great example of how a really dramatic story, even if it's not true, can just capture the public imagination, especially with something so massive, so monumental.
Precisely. The sheer scale, the ambition of the Hoover Dam project, it probably helped create and spread that myth. The idea of, A hidden sacrifice or some dark secret buried inside such a huge structure. It adds intrigue, doesn't it? But yeah, like you said, it's important to look at the facts that contradict that specific legend. These stories often show how we humans tend to find deeper meaning, sometimes dark meaning, in big events or constructions.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Area 51, the enduring mystery, the alien encounter stories.
Ah, Area 51, of course.
Loads of people report seeing UFOs, even aliens, near this place, which was, super secret Air Force testing ground for ages. The Pentagon always denies it, denies any aliens.
Standard denial.
But then you've got the extraterrestrial highway right nearby, which kind of suggests that the belief in something otherworldly out there is still really strong. Makes you wonder what people are actually seeing or experiencing.
Well, the intense secrecy around Area 51 for so long definitely fueled those stories of the unknown, didn't it? Whether the sightings are, misidentified experimental aircraft or natural phenomena or something else entirely, who knows? But the area's become this cornerstone of modern UFO lore. And the government denials early on, that just amplified the speculation, the whole allure of hidden truths.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now, Virginia City. This place really pops up again and again in the sources we looked at. It seems widely seen as one of the most haunted cities in Nevada, maybe the most.
Definitely a contender. It's packed with stories.
It feels like almost every old building there has its own ghost. Let's start with the Silver Queen Hotel.
Okay.
The main legend there is about Rosie. She was a prostitute who, tragically, killed herself, slit her wrists in the bathtub in room 11.
Room 11, another specific room.
Yeah. And guests, staff over the years, they claim they've seen her ghost wandering the halls, heard doorknobs jiggling in empty rooms, disembodied voices whispering, even loud footsteps on carpet when no one's there. A very vivid, persistent, haunting story.
Well, Virginia City's history, it's incredibly rich, but also really turbulent, right?
Yeah.
That whole 19th century mining boomtown vibe, huge transient population. It makes it prime territory for these kinds of long-lasting ghost stories. The story of Rosie at the Silver Queen, it's got that tragic figure, the specific details. It's a classic example of the kind of lore that just clings to these old hotels.
Yeah.
Maybe the sheer intensity, the volume of life and death that happened in a short time in places like Virginia City. Maybe it just left a bigger imprint,
Makes sense. And then there's Piper's Opera House, a place that somehow survived multiple big fires over its history.
Remarkable building.
The ghost sightings reported here are pretty varied. People talk about seeing a man with handlebar mustache, a mysterious lady in blue, even shadowy figures up in the balcony, like they're watching a show. It's almost like the building's dramatic past, all those performances and gatherings, is still playing out somehow.
Well, the trauma of the fires, multiple times, plus all the performances, the big social events held there for decades, that could certainly feed into these reports of, residual hauntings. Places that have seen strong emotional imprints, whether it's, joyful artistic expression or the pure terror of a fire, they often pop up in paranormal accounts. Makes you wonder if intense events leave some kind of energy signature behind.
Yeah, like an echo. Okay, St. Mary's Art Center. This used to be St. Mary Louise Hospital.
Right, the old hospital.
And it's got its share of ghost stories, too. People report seeing apparitions of old hospital staff, like moving through the building, even out on the lawn. Plus unsettling sounds, heavy footsteps in empty hallways, the distinct rumble of, rolling gurneys. It's that classic haunted hospital scenario, plays on some deep anxieties, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Hospitals, just by their nature, they're places where life and death are constantly present, aren't they? All the intense emotions tied up with healing, suffering, loss, plus the potential trauma for patients and staff. Yeah, it definitely fuels these kinds of stories. Residual energy, spirits of those who passed there, it all fits.
And the Silver Terrace Cemetery, also in Virginia City. Another spot with a seriously spooky reputation, mostly linked to all those deadly mining accidents back in the day.
So many accidents.
Yeah. One really poignant story is about a little girl seen wandering among the headstones, sometimes with this weird glowing light near her.
Oh, that's sad.
And there are reports of the heavy cemetery gates just opening and closing by themselves, even when there's no wind. Cemeteries are, naturally, places people think about ghosts, I guess.
Indeed. Cemeteries are physical reminders of mortality, aren't they? And the tragic ways people died in mining towns like Virginia City, accidents were so common. Easily gives rise to legends of restless spirits or weird stuff happening on the grounds. And the image of a child's ghost, especially in a place tied to so much hardship, that's particularly evocative, hits hard.
Then there's the Mackay Mansion, also in Virginia City. Supposedly has about 7 different ghosts seen there.
7. Wow.
Yeah, including, get this, a little girl in white named Elizabeth. Apparently, Johnny Depp saw her when he visited.
Johnny Depp. Seriously.
That's what one source claimed. Also, accounts of hearing a child playing, seeing a colonel in the kitchen area, a lady on the staircase. It sounds like a very busy place, spiritually speaking.
Well, the personal histories, the sort of faded grandeur of old mansions like that, they often contribute to the haunted rep, don't they? And that detail about a famous person like Johnny Depp possibly having an encounter, that adds this interesting modern layer to the folklore, suggests the stories are still being experienced, still being shared, gives them a bit more weight, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. The old Washoe Club in Virginia City sounds particularly intense, though.
Yeah.
Built in the 1870s. It's said to be haunted by at least 3 distinct spirits.
Okay.
Lena, a blonde prostitute murdered on the 3rd floor, often seen on the spiral staircase.
Yeah.
Then her killer, who supposedly killed himself on the 2nd floor.
Right.
And tragically, a 13-year-old girl murdered in the basement. That's a lot of reported violence in one building.
Locations with multiple documented violent deaths, or at least documented in local legend, they often become these epicenters for ghost stories. And the specificity, having names, the circumstances of their deaths. It tends to make the stories more compelling, more lasting. It's like those traumas left a really powerful, layered mark on the place.
Even the Story County Courthouse isn't spared. People report still hearing the cries of Peter Larkin, who was hanged there way back in 1877. It really feels like the stones of these old, important buildings just hold on to the echoes of the past, especially the really emotional stuff.
Historic courthouses, yeah. Sites where justice happens, sometimes executions. They often feature in local ghost lore. The strong emotions tied to trials, judgments, punishments. Paranormal beliefs suggest that can leave a lasting impression on the building itself.
And the Gold Hill Hotel and Saloon claims to be Nevada's oldest existing hotel.
Right, the oldest.
Also has its share of ghosts. Miners from the boom days, a former owner named William who apparently likes playing tricks.
Tricks? Like what?
Like locking guests out of their rooms. And a housekeeper named Rosie, another Rosie, who's said to still turn lights on and off, move guest stuff around. These sound a bit more playful, almost.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How the personalities people attribute to ghosts often seem to reflect their lives. A playful owner still being mischievous, a meticulous housekeeper still on the job. It adds this unique, almost relatable angle to the hauntings. Suggests maybe some part of their living self remains.
Okay, moving beyond Virginia City, because there are plenty of other reportedly haunted hotels across Nevada. The Mizpah Hotel in Tonopah, for instance.
Oh yeah, the Mizpah's famous.
Really strong reputation. Famous for the lady in red, strangled on the 5th floor between rooms 502 and 504. Also reports of kids on the 3rd floor, spirits of murdered miners in the basement. It was even ranked the #1 haunted hotel in the U.S. by USA Today readers at one point. That says something about its notoriety.
Yeah, the Mizpah's high profile in the paranormal world really shows how certain places just capture the collective imagination, become magnets for ghost hunters, enthusiasts. The multiple distinct ghost stories tied to it, the vivid details, they definitely contribute to its fame.
Then there's the Clown Motel, also in Tonopah, right next to a big cemetery.
Oh, the Clown Motel. That place is something else.
It has this inherently creepy vibe for a lot of people, right? All those clown statues everywhere. Some believe they're like vessels for restless minor spirits from the cemetery next door.
Right, the vessel idea.
The owner has even reported hearing unexplained footsteps, knocking sounds in empty rooms. Just the combination. Hundreds of clown eyes staring at you next to a graveyard. It's unsettling.
That juxtaposition is powerful, isn't it? The sort of whimsical clown imagery slammed up against the solemnity of a graveyard. It creates this really disturbing contrast. And that idea of inanimate objects being conduits or anchors for spirits, it's a recurring theme in paranormal beliefs.
Yeah.
The sheer number of clowns there just amplifies it in a really unique, creepy way.
Surprisingly, even the glitz of the Vegas Strip isn't totally immune. Caesar's Palace, for example.
Caesars? Really?
Yeah, a few strange occurrences reported. Motion sensor faucets turning on and off by themselves. Apparently a craps table that some dealers felt was possessed because of weird winning-losing streaks.
Huh. A possessed craps table. That's Vegas.
Right. It shows even modern busy places can have these little pockets of unexplained stuff happening.
Yeah, these more modern hauntings, they don't have the deep historical roots like the old mining towns, but they still tap into that basic human fascination with the unknown. And the contrast, The expected normalcy of a huge modern casino versus these strange, inexplicable events. It makes them stand
Yes.
out, maybe even more unsettling for some people.
Okay, then we get to the Nevada State Prison in Carson City. Operated for 150 years. Grim history, fires, escapes, violence, lots of executions.
Long, dark history there.
So maybe it's not surprising it's seen as a major paranormal hotspot. Reports of weird shapes, shadows in photos, dark apparitions, shadow figures, eerie noises, knocks, whistles, bangs, moans, screams, footsteps echoing in empty cell blocks, disembodied voices, whispers caught on recordings, EVPs. It paints a picture of a really troubled past leaving its mark.
Prisons, yeah. Places of intense confinement, suffering, death. They're almost always cited as haunted in folklore, aren't they? That concentration of powerful negative emotions, often violent histories. Paranormal theories suggest it can leave a strong psychic residue. The specific varied reports from Nevada State Prisons certainly paint a vivid picture, a place where the past might not be resting easily.
There's even one really sinister legend tied to the prison. The vengeful spirit of serial killer Carol Cole.
Oh, Carol Cole. Yeah.
Supposedly, his spirit still targets women within the prison walls. That adds a particularly nasty, disturbing layer to it all.
The idea of people who did truly awful things leaving behind a more malevolent, actively harmful presence, that's a common and chilling theme in ghost stories, mentioning Carol Cole specifically and the nature of his alleged haunting. Yeah, that adds a really disturbing dimension to the prison's lore.
Finally, we looked into some Reno-specific legends, mostly from Reddit, actually.
Okay, local stuff.
Yeah, like the Reno Sparks Convention Center, supposedly haunted by Oscar, a former admin worker who died there, and Maria at Walden's Coffee Shop downtown, known for turning faucets on, setting off the alarm.
Mischievous ghosts again.
It seems like even seemingly ordinary, everyday places can have their own resident ghosts and local stories bubbling up.
Yeah, these more localized, contemporary legends, often shared through personal stories, online communities, they show how belief in ghosts, experiencing unexplained things, it happens even in modern cities. And the specific details, like Oscar's job at the convention center or Maria's weird habits at the coffee shop, they make the stories relatable, give them that unique local flavor.
It has really been a fascinating and, pretty spooky journey through Nevada's ghostly landscapes today. From the tragic tales and old hotels and prisons to weird happenings in modern casinos, it definitely gives you a different way to look at the Silver State and its rich, sometimes dark history.
Absolutely. Nevada's past, marked by that rapid growth, intense hardship, profound tragedy sometimes. It's undoubtedly created this rich, diverse tapestry of ghostly legends. And these stories, they keep fascinating us, and for many people, they evoke this genuine sense of unease. Makes you think about the potential echoes of the past that might still be resonating in the places around us today.
If you like what you are hearing from us, please subscribe. Also, if you would like and share this video, it helps us tremendously and means so much to us. Please also leave a comment. We want to know what you think and value ideas you might have for future podcasts. Thanks for tuning in.